y'all hear that newly released Bo audio where you can hear somebody saying Nolan's name and asking, is he dead? Listen to this.
Okay. Tito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, where's the...
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir?
You can clearly hear in the beginning of the audio, the girl says, is he dead? And then the guy says, Nolan. And then the girl says, oh my God. And then at the end of the audio, you can hear him screaming, Nolan, wake the fuck up. Yeah, this should be enough to go arrest everybody on that motherfucking boat because they know exactly what happened to Nolan. This audio should be enough proof to show that he was on the boat at the time that they called for help and something happened to him in between that time. So they lied about their statement saying the last time that they saw Nolan was at 3 o'clock. Clearly they're fucking lying. And even Warren said the shit in his little interview that he wanted to do. Talk about we were yelling at Nolan and telling him to get on the boat because our boat was sinking. We thought the last time you saw Nolan was at 3 o'clock and your boat didn't start sinking until 4:30 or some shit. So how was your friend and Nolan arguing about Nolan getting on the boat when y'all said that the last time y'all saw him was at 3 o'clock, which was an hour and a half before y'all started sinking? Now we see why the medical examiner ain't trying to release his throat, ain't trying to release his stomach, because they don't want us to see that he didn't fucking drown and that he was probably deceased before he went into the water. So we need to get that motherfucking autopsy results. They saying that they're not releasing them because they're giving them to the grand jury. So we're going to see if we see those anytime soon or if we have to wait until this goes to trial to actually get the results of the first autopsy. But that audio is clear as motherfucking day. Y'all know y'all did something to Nolan.
Nolan Xavier Wells' preliminary independent autopsy results were released today. I'm Dr. Frida, and I had the honor of being a guest on the Don Lemon Show this morning as attorney Ben Crump's presentation of the results streamed live, and I gave my real-time reaction as soon as the autopsy results were released. And then just this evening, I was on the Joy Reid Show where we further discussed the autopsy results. I'll give you a brief synopsis now. The cause and the manner of death for Nolan Wells at this time is undetermined due to a need for further investigation, according to the preliminary independent autopsy results. There were some significant findings. One was a 12 by 8 inch lesion on the back of the head, the occipital region of Nolan's head, and it was reddish in color. We don't know why he had that lesion. Could he have had blunt force trauma? Could he have had an intracranial bleed? We don't have enough information. We do know that according to the report, there was no skull fracture, but we don't have enough information from the brain to know if there was trauma. And it is possible for this to have been a post-mortem change of blood and fluid that just pooled to the back of the head. That's a possibility. The interior neck was missing. And when I say missing, I mean that the original medical examiner, the Mississippi medical examiners, actually held back the front of the neck. And according to Dr. Mitchell, the independent examiner, he said that it is not uncommon to hold back interior neck structures if there's more investigation to be done. That being said, on this independent autopsy result, we weren't able to know what the hyoid bone looked like. Was it fractured? Were there signs of asphyxiation and strangulation? We don't know that. We also, on this independent examination, don't have a clear picture of what the lungs looked like. Was there water that entered the lungs prior to Nolan's passing, which could indicate a drowning? Or were the lungs completely empty, which could indicate that he was already deceased before entering the water? We do know that according to the independent autopsy, there were no broken bones, no skeletal fractures, no overt signs of bruising or trauma on the body. There are still a lot more questions to be answered, but here we are. We got the preliminary independent autopsy report before getting the original autopsy report from the Mississippi medical examiner.
Oh, I guess this is turning out to be a battle between Katie McCormick and also Warren Hudson, everybody. Now, allegedly, I guess Katie McCormick has been coming out and saying that Warren is lying. Warren's trying to make things seem like it's going to lead back to her, and she ain't going for that shit. Don't go for that shit, Katie. I wouldn't go for that shit, Katie. Katie, tell that shit. You see, and that's the problem with people trying to screw somebody over is when you try to screw somebody over, it'll end up coming back and splashing right back in your face. And I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen in the case of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. Now, I have not seen that statement from Katie, everybody, but if y'all find it, y'all see it, get it over to me, everybody. I want to be able to see it. I see people talking about it and speaking about it. I've been searching for it, everybody. The only thing I've been able to find is that allegedly Katie's sister been coming out and going to war for her sister Katie. She like, look, allegedly Nolan ended up getting on that boat with Warren and them boys. And like I said, y'all might think that my theory is so crazy and so unbelievable due to the fact that allegedly there's been no sightings of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. I'm telling y'all, man, those sightings of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, those was all planned. People either had that man come out there in some shorts that kind of was like 18-year-old Nolan Wells is, and or they already seen him on that beach and they was capturing random video moments of that dude on the beach. Think about it. Go look at those video sightings and tell me that those video sightings don't seem set up. What were they recording? If they weren't recording what was supposedly 18-year-old Nolan Wells, what else was they recording? Even in the altercation video, that altercation video don't seem like it was set up to y'all anything like that, or somebody was using their heart to want to capture that moment just in case, and or if they knew what had just happened, so therefore they went ahead and did a random clip. Think about it. Come on now. Who records something after the altercation is over and people just saying something in the background scenes? When you really sit down and you go over the details of things, you start to realize and you start to see that what happened to 18-year-old Nolan Wells occurred to him prior to 4:30 p.m. on the 4th of July. Think about it. How many people do you know gather up to about 300 people to want to meet for a high school shindig, last hurrah? This was a last hurrah that they described this as. Tracy Shepard described this inside of his interview allegedly. And at this last hurrah, it was supposed to be at least like 300 of them meeting up and everything, spending the day out on the island. But instead, everybody, the last boat even supposedly had left at 5 o'clock p.m. on the 4th. Heck, I mean, I could have sworn inside of the interview, even Warren Hudson said out of his own mouth that the 4th of July is a big deal down there. And since that it's a big deal, I don't see that people gonna take their time to go all the way out there to the island, get out there about 11:14, 11:15 a.m. and only stay there until about 4:30 p.m. but really only enjoy it until about 4. You gotta think, people gotta round people up and get their stuff together and such like that, clean up a little bit and everything, and get everything together in order for them to be together on the boat to be able to leave by 5 p.m. Which says to me, people started hurry up and scattering and getting stuff together around what, 4:15, 4:20 p.m. in order for them to be ready to disperse by 5 p.m. and everybody be gone. And we know that everybody from right there was gone by 5 p.m. as there's that one family that came out and posted pictures saying they was out there till 7:30 p.m. and that everybody else out there was gone about 5. So you mean to tell me, allegedly, these boys didn't had a problem with their boat, they ended up having to leave, and then all of a sudden everybody else just like, we might as well just go ahead and pack it up right now too. No, something occurred for everybody to want to hurry up and to dip out and split away from that island. And I truly feel like there was a many of people that was right there that knew 18-year-old Nolan Wells, that seen what happened to 18-year-old Nolan Wells, and just have not been saying anything. But I think that that's about to change. Even if you listen to that background audio says everything about suspicious and everything about they was hiding something. And you can also hear in the background a girl asking, is he still breathing, or check his chest. It was a guy that said check his chest or something like that. And you know, I got to thinking about when Warren Hudson was speaking about how that motor continued to trim down and it wouldn't stay trimmed up. It wouldn't stay trimmed up. That wouldn't be a bilge pump issue. That would be more of like a hydraulic issue, which means that you got even more so of an issue. So if that motor wouldn't stay trimmed up when it supposedly only had about 6 inches of water allegedly on the boat, and then you launch it out and you plane it out and you go ahead and get it out to about a quarter mile out and everything, then all of a sudden you start to sink. You start to take on so much water and start to sink. But you want me to believe that you wouldn't have had to trim that motor again and or would have had even more hydraulic issues with even more water getting on that boat when you had that many issues, when you had less water on the boat? I understand that people say that they know boats, and I believe you. I believe that you know boats, but to me it just does not add up and it does not make sense. And not only that, I truly feel like they intentionally allowed that water into the boat. I think the more people start talking, especially with them seeming to want to lean one way, and it seems like a many of people are trying to point the finger at Katie, I feel like Katie getting fed up, and Katie finna start talking and telling everything, and rightfully so, because she should have been talking before they even started pointing fingers at her. But again, if anybody sees that statement by Katie that people been talking about and everything like that, get it over to me. I would like to see it. I would like to break that down and look at that, everybody, because I'm truly hoping that people are starting to talk in the case of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. I feel like it's a lot of people that's probably shaking in their boots and definitely understanding that people are not going to give up and stop on 18-year-old Nolan Wells until people get down to the bottom of it. Because with all of these lies and all of these twisted stories, there's just, to me, there's just no way this was an accidental drowning. Now, could what have happened to 18-year-old Nolan Wells been an accident? Yes, that could have maybe have been an accident. But covering it up and dropping 18-year-old Nolan Wells in the water, if that's what occurred, that was no accident. And motherfuckers need to be held accountable for it. Again, for those that still feel like it was an accidental drowning with 18-year-old Nolan Wells, you have a right to your opinion, and so do the rest of the week. We have a right to our opinion as well. Just because you choose not to believe that something foul occurred does not mean that we need to choose to believe that nothing foul happened in the case of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. And no, this does not mean that we want to see that something foul happened to him. It's just that we see everything is not lining up with what they said supposedly happened to him.
This new evidence in his Nolan Wells murder is probably the biggest piece of confirmation that something really bad happened to Nolan. So Warren, who's one of Nolan Wells' supposed friends who rode out to Horn Island with him, he did an interview, and during this interview, he revealed something that kind of lines up everything else that we've heard since then. Now, what he says is a direct contradiction to everything they want us to believe about Nolan Wells.
Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island. It's not like we just left him there, or my friends just left him there. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island after my friends asked him multiple times and told him to get on the boat, and he decided to stay.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody that she heard people yelling for Nolan to get on it. Is that true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, this is the last time I saw him, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat.
They're telling this story as if, by the way, it confirms their story. It's actually the contrary. Now, he said this before the audio got released, and the audio is horrific. The audio confirms to me something really bad happened to Nolan. But he said this as if this is a confirmation and not a debunking or contrary to his story. If you're saying, hey, we left Nolan on the island, we don't know what happened to him, and our proof of this is we see Nolan cradle up with Katie in his arms. And we was calling Nolan over to get on the boat, and Nolan said he's staying, and Katie can confirm this. And then Katie says, according to you guys, Katie confirmed to you guys, the last time she seen Nolan was when y'all was calling him over. Well, she wouldn't say that if Nolan stayed. If the last time Katie seen Nolan was when y'all was calling him over, that would imply that he went over to you guys. Katie even told the family that Nolan told her he was riding home with his friends and he had to go. Your very story confirms exactly what we suspected, which is Nolan went on that boat. Now, y'all called Nolan over at 3 p.m. Y'all was still on the island for an hour and 30.
Yeah, somebody finna go to jail. I told you, man. Somebody going to jail, man. Now it's been reported that this girl, Katie, right? Everybody knows Katie by now. Katie has a cousin that's on the run. Now, what you running from? The only time we run is when we're guilty. But this same cat was spotted on the boat with Nolan. Now, again, what is he on the run from?
What's crazy about that audio is that I don't think people understand that when you call a dispatch service, they start recording the call before the person starts speaking so that they can hear what's going on in the background. And so in the background, you first hear somebody say, is he dead? Oh my God, Nolan. And then you hear later on somebody say, no, wake the fuck up. And then you hear somebody say, Warren, check his chest, or Wyatt, check his chest. I'm not sure which one they said. And then somebody saying, Warren, while Warren is the one on the phone, who is also the one that did the interview, the podcast interview with Officer Tap Dance.
If you listen closely, you can hear them say Nolan is about to die at 16 seconds.
Detail assistant, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please tell me we have a membership?
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. We're going down now.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir?
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkerson. I think it's Jerry Atkerson.
And what's interesting is that he said something in this interview where he keeps telling on himself and keeps digging himself into a hole, where he said, and I was thinking, well, if Nolan hasn't woken up now or hasn't woken up by now, then we need to find out. What do you mean? How would you know that he was asleep for some reason or knocked out for some reason when you said the last time you saw him was cuddled up with this Katie girl? Well, now we know why. And we also know why the dispatcher said, is everyone on board okay and in good health? And he did not answer that question. He said, yeah, everyone is on board, because she heard what they were saying in the background. So if you are on a sinking vessel and you have someone that is supposed to be your brother, your best friend, your pal, all of this, why would you say, no, we don't need the Coast Guard? Your boat is taking on water, and you can't tell her how much water, where the water is sitting. But you could answer that question on the interview, though, when Ossifer Tap Dance took you out to that boat island. But you couldn't answer because you were so distracted watching them trying to revive Nolan or try to see what was going on with Nolan. So either someone drugged him, someone let him get drunk, or he got drunker. I don't know what the situation is. But this was deep and malicious negligence, to say the least. And the fact that they covered it all up instead of getting the immediate help needed for this boy says everything I need to know about their character. Lock them up. And as I understand it, the Katie girl is now saying and coming out along with her sister saying that these boys is lying out their motherfucking teeth. So the truth is going to come out and they will be going to jail. And as a matter of fact, arrest the grandpa who called off the tow as well. Arrest every motherfucking.
Morning, everyone. For everyone that has been following the Nolan Wells case, this case has become a circus. This has become a race-baiting, race-raging, money-making, grifting circus. I'm not even talking about the parents, so please don't come into the comment section and say, why are you attacking the parents? No, I'm not. I'm praying for them. I pray that their heart heals well. I'm going to put them on the back burner because when people grieve, they don't think properly. So I'm going to give the parents grace. But I'm not going to give Al Sharpton and Ben Crump grace. What they are doing to me is one of the most evil things in the world. And y'all say, well, they're just trying to find out what happened to Nolan. No. After all the information came out with the Cajun Navy and the Cajun Navy reporting to Nancy Grace, putting on X that they asked Ben Crump's team to send in the dogs to check if there was decomposition of a body on those boats, on any of those boats that Nolan could have been on. Ben Crump team turned that down. You know, why would you turn it down? The only reason why you would turn it down is because you have a knowledge that Nolan was not on that boat. He wasn't dead on that boat, on any of those boats. That's why you would turn it down. That could have exonerated those boys, or it could have implicated those boys.
Why are y'all so adamant about him drowning? Coming onto my page spewing propaganda and misinformation and crap. Listen, I was trying to be fair until y'all started talking. I was trying to be fair until y'all reminded me of so many inconsistencies in y'all stories and y'all doing all the talking. To take us off the scent trail of Nolan Wells, stop. Just stop. It's now a cover-up. It could have been an accident. I think it was an accident. But the cover-up is going to get all of y'all. Watch. So let's talk procedures, because that was my premise of my argument. Do you remember, what's that young lady name? Casey Anthony? She was in handcuffs one day after her daughter was reported missing. Not for murder, but for lying. And what about that guy named Brian Welsh? He was held 4 days, and the charge, it was misleading investigator. He is currently serving life right now. And lastly, what about that Lori Vallow girl who sat in jail for 4 months because before they even found her children? Procedure. That was my argument. Procedures. It's called collateral charge. It's not saying y'all guilty, but basic procedures. Every state has it. You don't need the cause of death. You need one person whose story that doesn't match or doesn't hold up. So Jackson County, did all accounts match up? No. Other witnesses' story match up? No. Stories don't even match. And if they match, why don't you publicly say so? If you flip the skin color, if 3 black teenagers came back from Horn Island and that one white kid didn't, their clothes would be in evidence bags. Their phones would be imaged. That boat processed from the stem to the stern with blood forensics or cadaver dogs before sundown. Everyone knows this. That was my argument. Procedures. Any state goes through its procedures. So you can't sit up here and tell us that a young dead man's keys and his phone shows up at your house on the coffee table near a gaming console. One of those young men's keys is in his bedroom, that their asses would not be taken downtown in custody for procedure. It's procedural work. Any law enforcement would do it. So miss me with your Mississippi white privilege. Mississippi law enforcement, you missed opportunity to test their clothing worn that day. You could have did forensic blood work, blood splatter. Procedures, damn it. Because you immediately said it was no foul play and likely said it was a drowning. So you effed up. You effed up what? The procedures. Did you test the boat? No. Procedures. What about the closing? Nope. Procedures. What about the house where the keys and the phone was found? Nope. Procedures. That was my argument the whole time. So don't come at me. Arrest these 3 gentlemen right now. Hell, if it was me, I would arrest them right now because of what? Procedures. I'll put an ankle monitor on them right now because they may skip town. It is a crime to know of a crime that you didn't report. Truth has no party. Y'all be well.
But when we were leaving, obviously, no one is getting left at the island that came with us unless they demanded to be there. And this is a very common thing at Horn Island. When you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. It's a very common thing. But Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that. He was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear. But It's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat.
This is complete dog shit, and in my opinion, a lie. But I think he's also trying to cover up something possibly more sinister. And I'm going to tell you why. I've been an attorney and a captain for longer than half of my lifetime. I cannot even count the amount of places that I've been to in the Caribbean. I've been a diver for over 35 years and a captain for probably 30 years. I have so much shit in my log that I cannot even begin to tell you. From Puerto Rico, Cozumel, Belize, Bonaire, Turk and Caicos, Ternate Atoll, Blue Hole. I've been fucking Honduras. I've been everywhere in my boat. Everywhere. I've seen boats catch fire. I've seen people jump off them drunk and get in accidents. I've seen all sorts of terrible shit. As a lawyer and as a captain, I'm going to tell you why none of this should stick. Everyone fucking knows that as a captain, you're responsible not only for the welfare of everybody on board, but for their lives. You are the last one out of that fucking vessel. If that vessel is floundering and putting water in and it's above the batteries and the bilge pump is not working, that shit is done. That is supreme command. You tell everybody on board, get the fuck out. Grab a life vest, put it on. Even if we're insured, I don't give a shit because now I'm going to report the incident and I'm going to call Mayday. And I'm going to tell the Coast Guard, hey, I got everybody out. The ship was sinking. I'm not taking that shit anywhere. All the passengers that were on board are here. You can take account of them. I did what I needed to do. And then you fucking call the insurance company and call it a day and pay your $1,000 of fucking deductible. What you never ever fucking do is leave someone astray. I don't give a shit whether you're in the middle of the ocean with 200 feet under you or whether you're in a coast drinking Budweiser on a fucking Saturday and it's 2 feet of water underneath that boat. You never, ever, ever leave anybody astray and leave any of your passengers out on the boat and then just fucking call it a day and move forward. You gotta have owner accountability. And anything that happens to any of those passengers that you left, if they die, that is on you, my friend. And that is criminal negligence. You can go to fucking prison for that. So I don't know why this kid thinks it's a good idea to go in the podcast and admit some crazy shit like that. I don't care how many times you've done it before. This is fucking insane. And if you're not the captain of that ship, which I'm assuming that you are because you're on fucking national internet speaking about it. If you're not the captain and your dad was and he gave you that boat, then he is criminally responsible and negligent just as much as you are. But to be honest, this is complete horseshit to me. Something else happened in that fucking ship. Something sinister and bad, and they don't want to reveal it, and they're covering their asses with this bullshit. I don't fucking buy it. I suggest you talk to your lawyer and you keep your fucking mouth shut, kiddo, because you're not doing yourself a favor. I promise you that much. Shit will always be known and found. Que tengan buen día.
Let's be honest, guys. Why would a group of white kids actually take the life of a boy and then try to cover it up, right? Why would a group of white people take the life of a boy, roll him up in a mattress, and then take his organs, and then stuff it full of Black Friday newspapers? Why would a group of white people get together, adopt a bunch of black kids, and then turn them into modern-day slaves? Why would a group of white people get together, adopt a black kid, abuse them to the point that they lose their life? Why would you slash a black boy, hold him under the water until he drowns after just meeting him? Why would you watch your black friend drown and then hide the evidence and then act like nothing ever happened? Why would a group of white people get together, drop a bomb on a house of black people protesting in order to stop the protests? Why would a group of white people get together and then burn down a town and massacre everybody within the town over a false accusation? Because of hate. It has never been a reason of why. It's something that has constantly happened, year after year, day after day, month after month, generation after generation, because it's taught, conditioned hate. Now, this is not to say that they did or did anything, but this is to say that if there was something done to this boy, there doesn't have to be a reason behind it, because it has been something that has constantly happened to black people. And it's never a question of something that they did. It has always been about jealousy and hatred, because all of these cases are people who literally did nothing but be black. Racism and generational hate has always been a culture in America that has been passed down from generation to generation.
Morning. So yesterday I seen a clip of Officer Tatum saying that D.L. Hewley had posted a picture of him and his wife on his Instagram platform, telling people that Officer Tatum is a bootlicker and don't go watch that interview that he did with one of Nolan's friends. Officer Tatum's wife is white. D.L. knows that. That's why he posted her. I guess to say his wife is white, so he has to be biased. He has to be for the white boys. Yeah, I peeped the game, that part. How low can you go? How low can you go? D.L. can go pretty low. Like when he said Winsome Sears needed a hot comb, that part. The black man insulted the black woman's hair because she was conservative and he couldn't find nothing on her, that part. Obviously, he believes that Tatum interviewing a white boy, the same white boy he spent the night with, the same white boy that invited him to come along. Obviously, DL don't think that that's important, that part. Now, let me tell you what's really going on here, because my antennas are always up and my mind is always very discerning. But one thing I notice about black people like D.L. Hewley, them black people over there, okay? Just last week, I seen video after video on TikTok, thousands of videos, thousands of lives that are coming through my algorithm in regards to the Nolan Wells case. And what do I hear black people say? Oh, they're guilty. They lawyered up. They're not even willing to talk to anybody. That's why they quiet. Them white boys is guilty. And then more recently, I heard they didn't even go to the funeral. You see, them white people ain't Nolan friend. Ben Crump didn't want to talk to those boys. Why would he? He has a narrative that he has to spin. Why would they want to talk to him anyway when they've already been implicated as guilty, receiving death threats?
Well, looks like there is something going on, man, with Nolan Wells, man. There's been some type of new audio recording released. It's baffling, bro. It's baffling. There's a lot going on with the Nolan Wells case, guys. More information has just gotten released. And it's just like we all thought. It's like we all said in the first place, man. We all had our suspicions that Nolan Wells was actually unalive, man. I'm going to just say it. Nolan Wells was unalive. Hearing that audio, man, you can tell that when those guys called and asked for assistance, they said that the owner of the ship, which is the grandpa, I believe, called and said that they don't really need help right now. So the dispatcher asked if you guys need to be towed back in. First, the guy said no. Then he turned around. Yes. And then he turned around and then said no. And then they turned around and said that the owner of the boat said that the boat doesn't need to be taken back in. They just need a water pump out the boat. And let's just wait and see what happened. You guys listen to the audio call, man. You can hear very clearly on that call, man, that them kids sound nervous. And even the lady on the other end was saying it sounded like it's a bunch of teenagers on the boat that's under 18 years old. And the guy was saying yes. So it sounded to me like they panicked. But it also sounded to me, don't quote me on this, guys, it sounds just a tad bit to me like it could have possibly been an accident, guys. It could have very, very well possibly been an accident. And when you got a bunch of teens to get together and something like that happens where someone gets hurt, passes away, they usually don't always do the right thing. They're not responsible adults like us, man. So I'm not saying that it was an accident, but I'm saying that it sounds like that it might have been an accident that freaked everybody out. But I don't know if there's going to be any arrests made. The throat's missing from the autopsy. So that's the first thing. There was 2 autopsies performed. One was a regular autopsy done by the coroner's office, and then the second was an independent autopsy that was requested by either Ben Crump or the family members. But it sounded to me like that this case is finna finally come to a closure as more footage is coming out. They saying that some cousin or somebody is on the run. I don't know if there's any merit to that or any truth to that, guys, but there's a whole lot going on with this Nolan Wells story, man. But the whole thing, I said from the beginning, sounded really, really bizarre, man. Something wasn't adding up. All the dots wasn't connecting, but who knows? Maybe with this new audio, maybe now they can take this to the prosecutor and just maybe that people can get some type of results. Most importantly, not just the people, but the family of this young man can get some type of closure, man. This has been a really, really sad case all the way around, man. But you guys let me know in the comments what y'all think. Thanks for watching.
At this point, let's just wrap this up because y'all are playing games. Y'all are disrespecting this young man's life.
People just run with a lie. And it's so easy for people to believe it from the outside, looking into Mississippi's history, per se. But it's like, you're looking at history. Let's go to each state's history. I bet they're not the best with black people. Like, people change. You learn history so you don't repeat it.
History? In Mississippi? We're not even going to get into the current data that exists in Mississippi that would demonstrate otherwise. Let's just talk about the fact that you were tokenized. Let's talk about the fact that they put you in front of cameras to prove that Nolan Wells was not the only black boy on the island, because there was also you. Let's talk about the fact that they put you in front of cameras before any of the 4 white boys who were actually present and could speak to what happened to Nolan. Instead, they chose you, the black friend. History.
The people that showed up for me my whole life has been my white side of my family. So for y'all to sit there and drag their name and to drag me down, and I'm supposed to be one of y'all, and you're supposed to have my back, and we're supposed to be in this together, and it's really eye-opening.
And there it is. There it is. Your white side of the family is your hero. Thus, you would never stand for anyone or anything black. We already knew you were compromised when they put us in front of you. We knew that. But now we can say for certain, I don't know how, but this is evidence. This is evidence that there was some funny business going on, because at this point, this is unserious. Thank you for letting us.
And so, as you well know, guys, that this case of Nolan Wells, it has been one of the tragic news ever that is happening this right moment in United States of America. And there is something that is very fishy at it's being revealed step by step. And there's some things that are being hidden under the truth about this particular scenario whereby this boy was unalived. And it has brought a lot of attention online. Right now, there's an audio which has been released whereby you can hear someone claiming that when you listen very keen, you'll hear someone trying to ask, is he dead? Okay, so there's something that someone is asking that question. Like you can, it sounds very fishy. And I don't want to conclude anything, but I want you guys to tell me, what do you think about this particular clip, audio that we just had in this video? Because it brings a certain impression whereby it tells you that there's some people who needs to be investigated thoroughly. Thorough investigation needs to be done, and this case has to go deep and deep and deeper for it to be to make a complete sense, and for evidence to be revealed, like all this truth to come out, because there's no way you guys some people can just lose life because of their skin color, because of because they did a mistake. Okay, that's not something that should ever be tolerated. And in this video, guys, we are doing what we call to report exactly what we just had, and there's no proof of anything so far. And I just want you guys to take this video as a video of creating awareness and educational purpose. And any guys, this video, remember guys, they are for most of this video that you just seen belongs to the creators, original creators, who deserves credit for making these videos possible. Guys, I'll be waiting for your response in the comments section below. Let me know what you think about this particular video. I'll be updating you each and every day, something pop-ups, and today that's what it has been revealed. And let me know what you think about this video, guys, in the comment section below. That's where we wrap our video. Stay tuned, we have another video which is coming. What you need to do, guys, is to subscribe, like this video, and share, guys. I'll be ending here. Stay tuned, we have another video which is coming soon. Bye.